With heightened senses, his dog suddenly perked up, ears alert and nose to the ground, a behavior he never witnessed. It was clear they had discovered something significant, the dog's paws leaving imprints in the soil. Frozen, he felt an urge to investigate the tree that captivated his dog. Though anxious, he had to witness it firsthand to believe it. When the Smith family first laid eyes on Kyle the grizzled ex-police dog, they fell in love with him instantly. He has 8 years as a service dog and had just retired. He was ready to live out the rest of his life, laying around being loved. After they adopted Kyle, the family loved nothing more than taking him on walks every day. Frequent visits to the nearby woodlands were a routine for the family and their beloved dog Kyle. The woods offered Kyle a chance to chase elusive squirrels, his playful endeavors a regular sight. Yet, amid the typical outings, a peculiar shift emerged in Kyle's behavior, triggering curiosity within the family. Kyle's conduct deviated from the norm during a seemingly ordinary stroll. Engaged in deliberate sniffing, he appeared driven by an instinctual purpose, reminiscent of his service dog days. Such behavior marked an anomaly, raising concerns for his well-being. Before joining the Smiths, Kyle had served 2 other families, his temporary placements owing to his ongoing duties as an active police dog. Equipped with formidable law enforcement training, Kyle excelled in information gathering, embodying the essence of a seasoned detective. While not inherently aggressive, he possessed an unwavering dedication to safeguarding officers and now his new family. Teaming up with Officer John marked a turning point in Kyle's training. Bolstered by a deep bond, he adapted to a more assertive role, ensuring Officer John's protection with steadfast resolve. Together, they formed an inseparable duo, entrusted with permanent duty. As Kyle's tenure in the police force drew to a close, Officer John faced a heart-rending decision. Desiring a fulfilling life for Kyle beyond active service, he recognized the need for a home replete with care and attention. The Smiths provided that environment, forging a harmonious connection with Kyle. In their tranquil countryside abode encompassed by vast woodlands, a twist of fate unfolded. A typical day of exploration embarked as Kyle, ahead of the family, deviated from their regular path, leading them onto an uncharted route. What followed was an inexplicable shift in Kyle's demeanor, signaling a puzzling discovery on the horizon. Kyle had never been out of the city from this many times before. He loved his daily walks in the woods with his new family, but today there was something different, something they hadn't anticipated. For some time when Kyle was at home, he started acting strange. He didn't want to eat and wasn't as animated as he normally was, but on the walk, he was happy with his tail wagging and bounding him out in the wood. They could see that this is how he must have been while he was still in service. His old reflexes from his police days kicked in as he started burying his nose in the earth, following a trail only visible to him. The family tried to call him back to the path, but he was too focused on the scent. It wasn't out of the norm for a dog to sniff the ground, sometimes on walks. Kyle would sometimes find all manner of wildlife while they walked. One time, he even found someone's old clothes. If this hidden trail had something to hide, Kyle would seek it out and find it, but the scent that he had found this time seemed to make him anxious, something the family had never seen before. They had to keep going now that they were invested. The family felt that it was strange behavior for Kyle. Maybe above them, there was something hiding in the trees, a small animal perhaps. It could have been taunting their dog, knowing that he couldn't catch them. But as they looked up, all they saw were twisted branches where leaves would be in spring. Kyle had found something that so far was invisible to them. The family started getting nervous too. Smith called him again, but it was no use. Instead, Kyle lay down, frozen. Smith wasn't sure what to do, so he called John, Kyle's ex-partner. John explained that Kyle was trained to do this if he picked up a scent that was out of the ordinary or presented a danger. He told Smith to investigate the tree, but to be careful as it could be dangerous. Is it drugs? Smith thought. No, what he found was so much worse. As Smith approached the tree, he saw that the bark was loose. Kyle began to bark loudly. Feeling encouraged, Smith braced himself and peeled it back, revealing the hollow inside the tree. After peering into the dark, suddenly his eyes focused and he jumped back. It wasn't drugs. Kyle, on high alert, awaited his follow-up command. Without a moment's hesitation, Smith pulled out his phone and called the only person he could think to report it to. He shakily dialed John's number. With his voice trembling, he described exactly what Kyle had found in that old tree. John, highly disturbed and utterly incredulous, rushed together with forensics experts before they all raced out to the scene. For John, the trip down to Kyle's new home was excruciating and took far longer than he realized. After 2 hours on the road, they were still driving. John had been so busy with work that he hadn't been to visit Kyle since he'd been adopted by the Smiths. He felt a stab of guilt about his old partner as they finally arrived. As soon as he sees the familiar sight of the cruisers, Kyle can't contain his excitement. He runs towards John, due a reunion that would drive you to tears, but with a serious matter to attend to, John soon made his way to the tree. He pulls back the tree bark. His heart raises as Kyle urges him on, with his barking his eyes pop, as he confirms the heinous sight Smith had described to him. Kyle had led them to a human skeleton that had been stashed within the tree. However, it was so well packed within the tree that they had to carefully chop it down to assess what they were dealing with. As they continued their work, Smith was amazed at how lively Kyle became. It was like he was back to his normal self. Smith noted how Kyle loved John, but while he was watching Kyle, new information was unfolding. Officer John felt completely out of his depth when he saw the remains stashed in the hollow tree. Ready to inform his chief police officer so that they could send more reinforcements out, he began to dial. But just before he could get hold of the station, someone stopped him. The forensic experts he brought with him stopped him before he could place the call, and it was a good thing they did. They unpacked their tools and began to analyze the skeleton to try to place his origin. The further investigation wouldn't be necessary in this case. They already had everything they needed. The skeleton was a life-sized human skeleton, but it was also fake. Someone must have planted it as a Halloween scare or prank within the tree bark and forgot about it. They laughed in relief, but what they couldn't understand is why Kyle would alert them to a situation like this. He would have been trained to learn the difference between non-threatening and threatening smells. Then it clicked. Smith was the first to put 2 and 2 together. He realized Kyle wanted to see John. Displaying recent behaviors of loneliness, Kyle's actions hinted at his yearning for his absent best friend and former partner John. The anticipation of John's arrival triggered his spirited antics, prompting the question of whether this was orchestrated. Observing Kyle's excited gestures, John recognized the familiar pattern that had always captured his attention during their partnership. As John knelt to interact with Kyle, their bond rekindled. Gazing into Kyle's eyes, he comprehended that the apparent diversion with the skeleton concealed a secret message, an encoded call from the loyal partner he sorely missed. Despite the separation, Kyle's loyalty endured, grounded in their shared history of collaboration. Choosing to prolong their reunion, John stayed, cherishing quality time with his ex-partner amidst the woods. Their shared presence emanated joy, and a commitment was made. John would visit Kyle more often. Casting a fond glance back, John's laughter resonated, reflecting Kyle's infectious exuberance. Amidst the jubilation, a twinge of guilt and sorrow tugged at John. Yet, fortified by conviction, he recognized the correctness of his decision. With Smith alongside, they shared laughter and affection, a testament to their enduring connection. In this tale of canine ingenuity, John pondered the underestimated intelligence of dogs. Occasionally, these astute companions hold the capacity to safeguard an entire family.